start as far in with Alan.
Okay. I'm Alan Freeman. I've been doing comics, small press, and for other companies as well since probably, I think, 1985. I started putting out an anthology, Slam Bang, and I put it out 33 issues in about 5 years. And I brought it back in 2003, and I've been putting it out ever since again. But I take contributions from other people all over the world, actually. But am I just introducing myself? And then moving on?
Yeah, just
keep going.
Rafer.
Okay.
I'm Rafer Roberts. I am the writer and most of the time the artist on Plastic Farm, self-published book. Originally started in mini comic format, but I've since put out 12 issues, regularly printed, conventional printing. Yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years. First issue came out back in '99. First professional one was put out in 2002. And now I'm here. I'm going to sell books to you.
I'm Pam Bliss, and I've been making comics since 1989. I started out doing mini comics, and I did do 4 issues, 4 comics in the full-size professional format or pamphlet format or whatever you want to call it. Decided I didn't like it. It didn't work for my material. I went right back to doing minis. I've also done 1 trade paperback book, and I have another one in the works. And I just started doing a series in sort of a giant mini comic format that I really like. It is a standard book size. It's 6x9, so it is a standard size. This one is smaller. I think I'm going to work with them in like the 48-page series. My husband's calling them a graphic novella. And so I'm kind of experimenting. I'm really interested in experimenting with form as well as in storytelling.
And last but not least, Paul.
Hornschemeier. Been doing comics. I started doing my self-published series, Sequential, in 1999 while I was going to Ohio State in Columbus. And in 2002, I started publishing the series. Well, a now defunct company, Absence of It, in California, started publishing the series, Funnies. And since then, I've kind of moved away from series, which I think maybe is an unusual state. Not really ever seeing stuff for years at a time. But I did a book with Dark Horse called Mother Come Home. And I have a couple books coming out from the fan graphics this year.
Great. Well, we're just going to start talking. And you guys just interrupt and ask questions whenever you want to raise your hand or just yell. I kind of want to cover production and get the distribution and really focus on marketing and promotion because I think that's where most creators kind of lack expertise in promotion, at least promote yourself. But starting off with production, now we kind of got that variety of people up here. Some of you don't handle printing at all because you're publishers. Some of you actually do offset printing with the printer, and some of you do things by hand. Anybody would chime in with their experiences or how that's been?
I'll actually say something. Working with a publisher, you still have to work with a print. Unless you want to figure out print. So that's like the number one thing I tell people working with a publisher. You shouldn't like, basically it's just self-publishing with somebody else writing the checks. Like that's about the difference. And sometimes they'll do some promotion for you, but it's still really, I mean, you don't have to, like they will take care of the printing for you, but usually it's a lot better if you still stay very involved in the process.
In what way?
I mean, if you were, like, for instance, I was talking with Chris Ware, he just went back to self-publishing, actually. He doesn't, Fantagraphics isn't technically like publishing his quality. Because he was, I was asking him about the decision, and he said, well, I'm dealing with the publisher every day anyway. You know, I mean, you got to talk with them about, the press checks, you gotta talk with them about, what the colors are turning out like after registration and all that stuff. Really, like, the main difference is maybe you're not doing as much of the financial side of things, like, you're not doing as many quotes and stuff like that, but.
Am I right that you're the only one who knows what your book is supposed to look like?
Yeah, that's
In the
thing.
end,
Right.
is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's new and different. Like I said, it's somebody else writing the check. That's about it. You can relinquish a lot more control. Basically, I'm a control freak. Is what I'm saying.
I think that's true of most of us.
Yes.
Probably. I know what I love best is to do everything in it. I have this nice little, it's got a color cover. Inside it's gorgeous, crisp black and white. That's just a simple Hewlett-Packard laser printer. I do not have a color laser yet, though I am right on the edge of buying a color laser. This is a color photocopy from Staples, 39 cents. If you work with me, you get to know the people at the copy shop, and you can get proofs of color photocopies and have them, and turn the red up another 10%, and they will do it. And you could, the reason I love to do this is I have complete control.
Right.
I pick my stock, I know what color my ink is, I make all the decisions. I cut, I fold, I staple. I can fold 7 sheets a minute when I really get rolling. This is completely by hand. I made 100 copies of this in 6 hours on Thursday. Fold and staple. You get strong, you get quick, and you have complete creative control. And this, to me, is the single appeal of the mini comic format. It's mine.
Hey, Rafer, you work with many artists on plastic art.
Yes.
And what's that like? Do they, a lot of them try to be controlling of the printing of things, or do they kind of let you in?
Well, I'm actually a printer by day job.
Oh, really?
So I was working for a
I was going
printer.
to say, this is why it works so well.
Yeah. Right now I'm working for a commercial printer where they do advertising inserts. So it's a less strict, less as high. I mean, we're not printing National Geographic. We're printing newspaper
Stuff
ads.
that's intimidating for you.
But yeah, but I mean I know printing, so I know how to communicate with a printer, and pretty much all the artists that work on the book know that, so they know I'm not going to screw it up. I know how to give them files, and I do overkill on a lot of my files in that I scan very high res and probably piss off everybody at the printer, but I know that it will come out exactly how I want it to be. There's no chance of things buzzing out. So.
Okay. Now, we'll kind of come back to production stuff a little bit here. There's a blurry line between production and distribution. Well, distribution, anybody here doesn't know, they should know that Diamond's like the only really big distributor out there. You actually can get your books in the stores. Who are your distributors with Diamond? Any of you distributors? Well, I know that your books are.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond is the only big distributor in comic
Right. That's true.
as far as bookstores.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get in to bookstores.
Yeah, it's, I understand how they're not doing that. It's funny. It's a little monopoly, but
Well, I distributed my book, which I'm no longer with them. For somebody who's a self-publisher, that's something you need to look into, because they really are the only thing that
yeah, I
you
mean,
book get high penetration into.
who's the store? Is Cold Cut?
Yeah, I was just going to say Cold Cut.
Does my stuff.
Yeah, Cold Cut's all indie. So
I just think they shut down.
That's what.
Didn't they just close their doors after International?
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
that was what said at the comic store that came out. That came out a couple weeks ago.
Right.
yeah, I think all that's left is Diamond and Cold Cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't Diamond a lot more strict now?
Yeah, they are a lot more strict. Like you have to meet certain benchmarks yourself to accomplish, or they're going to drop you because they're not making any money off of you.
The new thing now too is if you don't reach even other specific benchmark, they're not even going to order to go from the store. They'll be ordered.
That's right. I mean, it's like
But isn't there a lot of people that they're not even giving them the first chance now?
Yeah.
Right.
I got it to that.
yeah.
Right.
Sure, a lot of us do. But there's always the big question is, are comic book stores the best market for your work? I mean, that's another question I think you have to ask. I mean, I've never had any success. I mean, I've gotten stuff placed in stores. I've never had a lot with certain specific stores that do a lot of alternative stuff in mini comics, that kind of stuff, do fine for me, just like they do for other people. But I find I have much better luck distributing things directly to readers.
Right. I think that's just it. I mean, distributing stuff directly to readers, and I think maybe Drawn Quarterly has this on their website where it's a list of like the top 100 independent stores. Because I mean, really, like, there's places that are already in comic shops.
Right.
And you're probably going to sell more.
Right,
comics.
and you can just send them stuff,
Right.
you know, a sample,
Yeah.
and you can often will get an order.
I mean, a lot of
Sometimes
times
it's weird.
doing it, it's a headache, but I mean, doing it yourself is going to be a lot better than the results you're going to get through diamond comps.
Financially, that's
Yeah.
If you sell it yourself, you keep everything.
Yep.
I mean, this is basically, you know, after you've paid your printer or your printing costs if you're producing it in-house, after you've paid your postage, you've paid whatever fees are associated with your web presence, if that's how you're doing it.
Right.
Everything you can make on top of that, you keep. And it's nice.
Well, and you mentioned selling direct to the reader. I'm assuming that would be totally web-based. I don't know what
Well, you
other way
could cut,
you
but
could
what
do
am I
it.
doing now? I just make a lot of my contacts through conventions. I also do a thing where it's sort of, I call it my subscription service. Basically, you give me $20 and I write your name on your address on an index card, and I send you everything I put out until you've spent I've spent your $20, and then I tell you with your last one that you're out of money, and you send me another $20, and it repeats. I've had people who have been sending me $20 for 6 or 7 years. You know, you got your little box of index cards. I often say I sometimes think it goes in fire.
Speaking of online, I mean, I think everybody here says their books are sold online at some level. Sure. And really anybody who's a self-publisher or even working with a publisher, of course, they're going to sell your books online somewhere. Sure. You really do need to have something online.
Well, I mean, it's just the thing about having a website is that it's basically, this is what I tell people, it's like, at most, it's going to cost you like, you know, $20, maybe if you're really crazy, $40 a month for a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, worldwide advertisement. That anybody will get to as a computer. And there's no magazine or radio in the world that's like that. You know?
Not to
Yeah, and you-
mention it's a sample of your work.
Yeah, and you
I
can put
mean,
as much as you want on it.
I'm going to be putting full stories on it.
Not just a 24-hour advertising, but a 24-hour salesperson.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. If you put commerce on it.
I think of it as a convention.
Yeah, no,
I put the same things on it that I have on my table out there. You know, see the covers of the books, or will be when it's back up. That's another problem. we aren't going to bring up right now. It's too depressing. That's the point.
Yeah, I mean, with websites, you know, you can't just make websites so people come to it either and buy your stuff. That's why it's really important to go to conventions and talk to retailers and really get press and try to get articles and reviews. Because people who buy your first issue and like it are going to come to your website for the rest if you're not at the store. It's the only place they can actually get it unless they drive a state away to go to a convention to find it.
Unless they write you a letter.
That's right.
And believe you me, I mean, let's not say internet, and forget about the U.S. mail. Because my address is there, and I tell you, if you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope or just a stamp, I will send you a mini comic and a list of what I've got available. And I make sales that way 20, 40 times a year. It's not a lot, but a lot of those people have become loyal customers. So you can't ignore any one person
No, that's true.
if you're at this level.
You can also have a blog where you can constantly update it every day or once a week, whatever you can do. And you try to start getting people to keep coming back to see what your news is, that, you know, we just put this out, or here's an interview with one of the creators, and you can just keep people
Or
coming
you
back.
just write a blog. People are following, I actually have been getting comments, people have been following, I've reseeded my lawn. And I go out every day and tell them whether the grass has come up. Say this is like watching grass grow on the internet. And people have thought it was funny, and I've been getting comments. And, you know, then the day before yesterday, it was the announcement that I finished the new mini comic. And hopefully there'll be orders that will come out of that, just from people who are amused by my stories about my yacht.
When you can communicate to your readers on like a personal level like that, you're telling them I reseeded my lawn or what you did for the day. I mean, it really, you form a relationship with them. You might be getting 1,000 people reading your blog at a time, but they all think you're a friend of yours, they know so much about you person. And it really keeps them interested in you and your comics.
You feel bad? I need to buy Pam's new book so she can buy some
More
grass
like
seed.
it didn't come up. Scott's lawn care didn't work. Wanted it twice a day as per instructions. It just laid there like death. Leave the birds in. Anyway.
How effective is like the comics press as far as money? Like, how cost effective is it to put like a little banner, a little blurb in a Wizard or a CBG or something like that with just the name of the comic, the website? Because one of the first places I heard of Paul and Eric was through like Comics Buyer's Guide. And also, when they do reviews, are you submitting the Comics Buyer's Guide in the hopes that they'll review it? Or are they picking it up at conventions? I mean, how do you get your book in there?
Some of each.
I went to San Diego Con in 2004, and I saw they had a huge booth, so I ran back, got some of my books, and I walked up and said, "Do you review, small press books, independent?" And they go, "Yeah." So I handed the stuff to them, and then the lady started emailing me back and forth, and then sure enough, I started seeing the reviews come up in the magazine. So I think if you do it in person, you'd probably get a jump over some people that,
So then they see you actually have the product instead of a random email from someone they don't know.
CBG's reviews are always signed. You could always send. I mean, you find a reviewer who seems to like the kind of stuff that you do, and like to you send that person care of CBG, and they'll make sure they get it.
It's important to do your homework.
Yeah, they kind of have a section that seems to they seem to always have a section that's dedicated to independent publishers to try
But
and.
they're always the individual reviews are always signed, so you can get the name of names
Right.
of a
I have
couple
a
of
list
people.
of all of them too in the back. You'll have all the how to get a hold of each one of the reviewers. So
Okay.
you could send every one of them one if you, I guess.
There's something I wanted to bring up that you were kind of hinting on there, and it's buying advertisements versus getting articles and reviews with them. You don't want to buy advertisements. I've never had a good experience buying an advertisement for anything. And I worked in marketing for 6 years now and spent tens of thousands of dollars of clients' money on advertising. I've never seen a good return on it, and the same applies for the advertisements I buy for my comics. Definitely get a review on an article by anyone with comics press. There's lots of websites out there, and magazines.
The one magazine where they review it, and I've seen a very good return on the reviews, is Punk Planet. It's a non-comic magazine. However, each issue they do reviews of different comics. And that one, getting a review in Punk Planet actually gets cash sent to me in the mail. So
Yeah, I think getting stuff in more DIY culture kind of stuff, like people are going to respond to it more because they're going to connect.
Because they'll view you as an iconoclast to like the culture they're trying to latch onto.
I recently
Used to get money out of
got a
that.
mention in a blog, and it was boing.net, and they evidently get an awful lot of people checking that out every day. And they mentioned the sketchbook that I published. This was just a few months ago, and all of a sudden I had 200 orders in 1.5 days or something.
Yeah, it's very.
And it just kept coming too. It just kind of slowly petered out as the mention went down the blog.
And you never know where that stuff's going to cross-populate too, because other groups will say, "Well, I was on this group," and they'll repost what was on there, and you never know. You never know how it's going to filter out to other areas.
If you see a blog, it would probably be good to send your book to.
And have you tried like banner ads on other websites?
I have.
No return. No.
I offer banner ads on my website, but I don't, I won't buy space to place a banner. It's just that the code's there, so I can copy and paste it on your site.
I'll trade banners, with people. They'll put it on theirs and then I'll put it
It's
on
a nice
mine.
way to get a variety of stuff on your site.
Yeah.
Has anybody tried MySpace? I haven't, but if it's a
Yeah.
vehicle for just for
You
I've heard
can,
bad things about it.
you can start a MySpace with just the name of your company and just plaster all your information on there and have a blog on there as well. And then other people start wanting to be your
Friends.
your friend, and then they'll
That's infectious.
start to pollinate that way. And
I use one for a band, and it definitely gets attention. So it works.
Those are another good ones too.
Yeah, I was going to say my boss on LiveJournal, and I've gotten tons of orders through and a lot of the people doing the subscriptions.
Plus, I've also found there's freewebs.com, I believe, and I put up some things there once, just like an experiment, and there's no ads on there. It's all free. So if you know how to create a website, you can post it up there, and you're not paying anything for the website space. You know, I don't know how long it'll be up there. As far as I know, it's permanent. You know, so it's something to check out.
Promotion-wise, do any of you, do you feel like you stick to kind of standards, things that most people do? You ever try anything really out there and has it worked for you?
I give away Halloween reading comics to trick-or-treaters. And it yields actually fairly well. And amuses the children. To me, the best thing that hasn't been mentioned is free stuff. Give things away to people. That's another thing, the mini comic format lends itself to this. An 8-page mini comic is nothing but a double-sided photocopy, which if you can either, or a double-sided laser print if you produce them at home. I hoard up coupons from the copy shops and always have something ready to go, so I can get a double-sided photocopy down, way below a nickel a piece. Sometimes way below 2.5 cents a piece if you got coupons and stuff. And basically, the biggest rip-off in the world is the 50-cent single mini comic, right? Is the hugest markup at the show. And that means that you can afford to give them away when you do. Because unlike business cards or anything like that, it is actually a sample of your work. It's actually you can get a whole story in there.
I think that's the major thing is like sending out copies of stuff to actual stores. Like one thing I did, which was maybe a little bit the same apparently worked, was the last issue I did sequential, which was like an $8, 120-page book. I sent out 100 copies to 100 stores, and I got like 1,000 extra orders. I mean, I literally had store owners come up to the conventions and say, "Yeah, actually, we weren't going to order the book." Saw it. Wow, this is nice. We want 10 copies.
I do the exact same thing with my first issue. I really got a good response.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but even if it's send an issue, mini comic, whatever, like there's no better advertisement, and that's the main thing I was gonna say about promotion is producing the work. That's the best promotion.
Work first.
Yeah, because that's what will sell your stuff. That's what.
But shop owners especially are skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, they need to see you.
And especially, not only they're skeptical of the quality of independent work,
They don't know if it's going to come
they
out.
don't know if it's even going to come out. They're skeptical of the fact that it's ever going to happen.
Yep.
And if you can show it, it's already happened. Here it is. It's on the ground. It's alive. And that will reassure them immensely. They see so many solicitations for things that never appear.
Well, that's just it. In a lot of shops have somebody go through, it's not even necessarily the store owner, it's somebody that works there, they go through the catalog, they order the stuff they're supposed to order, and that's that. If somebody special ordered something, they'll order that. Otherwise, I mean, you have to give them a reason to buy your stuff. They're never going to buy your stuff just because, oh, what a catchy title. Like, no, screw that. They're never going to buy your stuff. Like, you have to show it to them. You have to say this is, even if it's doing some crazy, like, gatefold postcard thing, like, give them something that says this is what kind of water you get. Because they're just not going to know otherwise. They're either going to assume it's crap or it's never going to happen.
Assuming that you're in distributed through stores,
Right.
I think most people want to do.
Yeah.
You really, you have two audiences you need to promote to. One is the retailers, and one is the fans. And you really need to hit both simultaneously, because if you just promote it to the stores, they don't have their their customers coming in telling them we want to buy this. They're not very sure if they want to buy it, and then again they might buy it, it sits on the shelf. Nobody buys that issue at all because they don't know about it. It's on a shelf with 200 other comic books they're used to reading, and the store owners they can't return that to the distributor. They have to read that. It goes in the 25-cent.
Right.
So you also have to promote to readers too, to make sure that they go in there and tell the retailer, hey, I want to order this, and you put the catalog and say pre-order this one.
When I read a normal comic, it's a lot of times got, oh, this is something else that we do, and this is something else that we do, and this is something else that we do, and buy this action figure, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, say in your case, you're printing everything, you're copying everything. I assume somewhere in your book you say, hey, this is me, these are some of the other things.
Well,
go to
yeah,
my
well,
website."
in my website certainly, and the bigger the book, the more stuff there's room there. There's a whole essay in here about my work, whole essay in there about my work. On the back of the mini comic, what you got is the website address and the street address and humorous little joke, and read more about this stuff and come here and figure it out. You have to adjust the amount of self-promotion you do relative to the content of the book, because people do not want to. You don't want to read ads. Nobody does. But at the same time, the most important thing is contact info, contact info, contact info.
See,
Everything you do has got to have your email, your snail mail, and your URL and your website.
In my anthology, I gave everyone an ad space in the back so they could talk about their website or email address or their book. And so some people took me up on that, so I got 3 or 4 pages, 5 pages of their ads as well. So,
and the nice thing about that is that's a nice big format, so you've got room to do things like that.
Right.
Because you've got your bookshelf book there.
One thing I was going to say is you could hand out postcards. You can go to shows and set it on the free table, and people pick up all that stuff and they get home and look through it, And I found this. I went to San Diego Con and picked up cards from other people and found on the back they had the ad for really cheap postcards. So I did it, and I found out I could get an even better deal than this on their website. It was 1,000 postcards for just paying for the shipping. So I got 1,000, and it ended up being $30 for shipping. And you can't beat that, in color and what. So then you can do that once a month with their promo deal. So every month I get another 1,000. I just leave a stack, and you can go to comic shows and just set them down on the free table if nothing else. Or you can send them out with every order you get in any book I get. I'll send 2 or 3 out. Hopefully they'll send them on to people they know.
Just one thing to add, a cheating technique that a friend of mine does. He gets those bigger, you can print slightly bigger postcards. You fold them, full color mini comic them.
Yep. But what about the ad? You just have to ignore the fact there's an ad on the back?
Well, you can.
Oh, you can
the
get
ones
a-
where it's free, I think you have to have their logo on it.
Oh, okay.
You pay
So you can get a blank on the back, or?
Yeah.